why, though, do we need Iowa? One of the reasons we need Iowa is because too often in this world, Republicans racialize poverty and Democrats run from poverty. Now, I hope y'all can clap when we criticize everybody, because that's this movement. As we're trying to change the narrative. You will never deal with poverty, Democrats, as long as you keep only talking about the middle class or saying the working poor. What the hell you think poor folk doing besides working? And you will never deal with poverty, Republicans, when you racialize poverty and try to make people think that white people are poor because somehow all this free stuff is going to black and brown people. Or you moralize poverty as though poor folk are their own worst enemy, and that's why they're poor, and you don't deal with the immoral actions of society. The Bible says in Isaiah 10, woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor of their rights and make women and children their prey. My personal piety doesn't have a thing to do with me having health insurance, doesn't have a thing to do with me working a living wage job. In Iowa, there are 100,000 people without insurance. 100,000 people. Now, every 500,000 people that don't have health insurance, 2,800 die. So there are people in Iowa dying, not because God called them home, but because Congress people from this state and senators from this state, when they went to Washington, D.C., they got free health care, paid for by you. And then they turn around and vote against their constituencies having the same thing that they have. Something wrong about that. But it's not just we need Iowa because of the problem, but we need a sound to come out of Iowa. This nation's got to hear from Iowa that Iowa has something to say about poverty and low wealth. Here's what we must understand. These things cannot just be something in somebody's presidential campaign. What has to happen is there must be a movement of the people who demand that things be a part of our nation's public policy. And we must be a movement that they know may be rising up in 2017, 18, 19, and 20, but ain't intending on going nowhere anytime soon. Because what happens is many people know that if you run a presidential candidate or campaign, that's a year. And then people lose, they go back in the shadow. But they need to know there is a movement that doesn't intend to lose. We intend to stay here and stay here and stay here and stay here until we reshape the economic character of this nation.